The eastern elk. This creature, height of maturity was about 5 feet, weighed about 1,000 pounds, and its antler span could have been up to 6 feet. Unfortunately, we can't see this animal anymore because it's extinct. It has been for over 100 years. And the reason for this extinction is overhunting. We're facing a very similar problem right now with bluefin tuna. As we're overhunting it, and it's not extinct yet, but it's working its way towards there now. Right now we're enjoying, tuna fish or bluefin fish in aquariums as recreational sports, and even eating them. But we're to the point now where if we don't act now, our children won't be able to experience the bluefin tuna either eating or fishing for it or seeing it in an aquarium. I'm going to explain to you some of the reasons why we're here now and what you guys can do to fix this problem. A little bit of back history on the bluefin tuna. Industrial fishing for the bluefin tuna started about 1970, and today the fish population is down 85%. So let me reiterate that again for you. So for the past 40 years, from 40 years ago, our population is down to 15% of what it was 40 years ago. An astonishing number. Another problem is reporting the tuna. Last year, the Mediterranean, they did an actual count of the tuna steaks coming out of the Med, and they found that the physical count was actually 140% of what the reported count was. So there's a problem with under-reporting the numbers, just smudging the numbers. There's not an accountability because it's just a paper trail, and you have excess product. The big problem with tuna, I feel, is that to reach sexual maturity takes these fish anywhere from 5 to 7 years. So what's happening is we're catching this fish so quickly they don't have a chance to spawn and have any offspring. So we're literally pulling the fish out before they have a chance to breed. There are some international government organizations that have been working in the UN to try and correct this problem. One of them, which is the endangered trade of, International Convention of International Trade of Endangered Species, which suggested that we actually stop all international trade of bluefin tuna. And the UN, or the states in there, rejected this notion, and they said along the lines of this should be handled by the ICANN, which is the International Conservation, the Commission for Conservation of Tuna. So what have they done? They've come to the UN, and they've just in the past, from 2010 to 2011, had to drop down the limits of tuna down 600 tons to a cap of 12.9 metric tons, and that's reported. So we don't know what actually is coming in, but that's the limit for the nation. If we don't make our own actions, the tuna population could dwindle away. And we need to find a solution. Some of those solutions out there, one example is off of the Steve Irwin ship you might have seen from Whale Wars. They last year cut open a tuna net, which they believe was outside of the fishing season. This is a very radical action, and of course is not the preferred way to do anything. The FDA, in addition to overfishing, because of the mercury level and the toxins in these fish, they recommend eating no more than 6 ounces of tuna steaks every week. Greenpeace they recommend that the U.S. stop commercial and recreational fishing for the bluefin tuna. And then there's a NGO or non-government organization out there right now that's really pushing. It's the Monterey Bay Seafood Watch program, and they basically have two very simple things that we as individuals can do. One of which is just to spread the word, put it out there via blog, social media. Just tell your friends, tell your coworkers. Just put it out there. Another way is what they call seafood watches, which is literally watching what your seafood you intake. These are all plausible solutions, but how can we or you get involved? So the United Nations doesn't want to be burdened with the tuna. There's countries out there such as Japan, Canada, Spain, France, and Italy that's a major source of revenue for them, is to take in their tuna supplies, as well as other smaller countries who heavily rely on fishing for their income. So the UN is not going to pass any type of regulation to stop the trade of bluefin tuna. So what we can do is cut down the demand for tuna in the United States. If we cut down the demand, then people are going to slowly, the supply will just will outweigh the demand, and the prices will go down. And if there's not, they follow each other. It is an inconvenience, and I understand that, but a small inconvenience right now could allow the population of tuna to thrive for generations to come. So going off of the Monterey Bay actions, what you can do is very simple. If you go to a market, don't order tuna, bluefin tuna. If you go to a restaurant, if it's a tuna plate, order something else. A matter of fact, that same Monterey Bay has an app for that, of a matter of fact. Any type of tuna fish as well as other seafood, you could simply, within 1 minute, know if it's endangered species, if you should veer away from it, if it's safe to eat, if it's going to be endangerment to the economy, or the environment. As I said before, just as simple as you going on a Facebook and sending a link every once in a while if you see on the news about the dwindling population, or even at your work if you see somebody eating a tuna fish sandwich, you could start a conversation and say, hey, by the way, you know that the population is next to nothing right now and isn't in for a good future right now. If we do this now, if we take the positive steps, we're going to ensure that our children are going to be able to fish the tuna, see it in an aquarium, even eat it, but just with safer numbers. Reducing the tuna demand is key, and I implore you to help save the species.